What happens when biology changes, but food systems don't quite keep up? Welcome to Consumer Perspective, a podcast for Agro-Food, where we explore how science, behavior, and lived experience shape the way people choose and experience food. I'm Michelle Niedziela, a behavioral neuroscientist, and in this episode, we're looking at women's health, specifically how perimenopausal women are navigating food choices in a body that no longer behaves the way it used to. So let's dive in. Women's health has become one of the most visible and most misunderstood spaces in food innovation. We're seeing a surge of products positioned as supportive for perimenopause. Protein-forward snacks, fiber-enriched foods, gut health claims, blood sugar balance, and even anti-inflammatory framing. But from a consumer perspective, the real story isn't what women are eating. It's why food choice feels harder and more loaded and more emotional during this life stage. Perimenopause is a behavioral transition, not just a hormonal one. While perimenopause is often described biologically with fluctuating estrogen, sleep disruption, and changes in metabolism, but behaviorally, it's something else entirely. It's a time where familiar hunger cues become unreliable. Energy starts to feel very unpredictable. Weight changes feel out of sync with the effort put in, and foods that once worked suddenly don't. This creates a lot of loss of trust, not just in the body, but in consumer decision making. And from a behavioral science lens, this matters because uncertainty drives cognitive load. When the body stops sending clear signals, food choice becomes mentally exhausting. For many perimenopausal women, food shifts from pleasure to problem solving. Every choice carries questions. Will this spike my blood sugar? Will I crash later? Will this make me feel worse tomorrow? Am I helping my body or am I sabotaging it? And this is where we see trends that go towards more high-protein foods for perceived stability, looking at fiber for control and regularity, and foods that are framed as balancing or supportive, foods that are predictable and repeatable in their meals. Not because women want to optimize endlessly with new trends, but because predictability feels safe when their physiology starts to feel unstable. Now, there's still sensory needs, but those change, and we rarely talk about it. Another underappreciated shift during perimenopause is sensory tolerance. Many women report having lower tolerance for very sweet foods. They start to develop aversions to heavy or greasy textures. They can have discomfort after meals that once felt totally fine. And they can also have a heightened sensitivity to bloating or fullness. Now, from a sensory science standpoint, this suggests that there could be changes in interoreceptive awareness, maybe in gut-brain signaling, and definitely in post-ingestive feedback. Yet most food innovation still treats perimenopausal women as more of a nutritional segment, not necessarily a sensory one. So that means there's an opportunity here to rethink texture softness, portion size, flavor intensity, and how comfort is defined by consumers. Emotional eating can get reframed, but not eliminated. There's a narrative that perimenopause is a time to clean up your eating, but emotionally, food still plays a role. It's just that that role shifts. So instead of indulgence, comfort might actually look more like warmth or familiarity, digestibility, or foods that feel grounding rather than too exciting. Behaviorally, this reflects a move from reward seeking to more regulation seeking. And that's a powerful insight for product developers. Women aren't abandoning emotion in their food. They're seeking emotional stability. Now, there's also a trust gap. Why many claims can miss the mark. One of the biggest challenges in this space is trust. Perimenopausal women are often very highly informed, and also highly skeptical. They've tried diets that didn't work. They've tried supplements that overpromised, and they've taken advice that ignored their own personal individual variability. And from a consumer psychology perspective, this creates resistance to any sort of exaggerated claims. There's also a preference for more transparent framing and an appreciation for products that don't promise transformation. Foods that say, this may help support you without fixing everything, often resonate better than bold optimization language. Now, what does this mean for food R&D? When we look at this from a behavioral science perspective, supportive food choices for perimenopausal women are less about biohacking and more about reducing friction. And that means creating foods that are easy to choose, easy to digest, easy to repeat, and easy to trust. Innovation opportunities lie in sensory moderation rather than intensity, portion formats that reduce decision fatigue, language that validates experience rather than prescribing control, and product designs that respect variability instead of enforcing rules. So, a final thought is that perimenopause reminds us that food choice is deeply contextual. When our bodies change, so do our motivations, our expectations, and our emotional needs. And understanding women's health in this phase isn't just about nutrients. It's about how food helps people feel oriented, capable, and supported throughout their daily lives. And that's where consumer science, behavioral insight, and thoughtful innovation can make a real difference. Thanks for listening, and catch us next time on the Agro-Food podcast.